Have you ever walked into a room and felt your heart race, your palms sweat, and your mind go completely blank? Just because people were watching? That's social anxiety. And it silently steals opportunities, confidence, and even relationships from millions of people every single day. But here's the truth. You don't have to live trapped in fear. In this video, I'll show you simple, powerful strategies that can help you overcome social anxiety and finally feel confident being yourself, anywhere, with anyone. To truly conquer social anxiety, the first and most essential step is understanding what it actually is and how it shows up in our daily lives. Many people mistakenly believe that social anxiety is just being shy or feeling nervous sometimes. But the truth is that social anxiety goes far deeper than that. It is a persistent fear of being judged, embarrassed, or rejected in social situations. This fear can be so overwhelming that it interferes with a person's ability to connect with others, pursue opportunities, or even enjoy simple interactions like meeting someone new or speaking up in a group. By understanding the nature of social anxiety, we start to shine a light on something that often thrives in the dark. Fear that seems too big and too vague to manage. Once you can name it, recognize it, and see how it works, you can begin to take back control. At its core, social anxiety is the body's natural fight-or-flight response, misfiring in situations where there is no actual danger. Imagine walking into a room full of people and suddenly feeling your heart race, your palms sweat, your mind go blank. This reaction is the body treating a social situation as if it were a life-threatening event. For someone with social anxiety, the brain interprets the possibility of being judged, laughed at, or embarrassed as if it were a predator waiting in the shadows. The result is an exaggerated, stressful reaction that makes normal interactions feel terrifying. The symptoms can be both physical and psychological. On the physical side, people often experience a rapid heartbeat, shortness of breath, shaking hands, dry mouth, or even nausea. On the psychological side, there are intrusive thoughts such as, "Everyone is staring at me," "I'm going to mess this up," or "They're all judging me." Together, these symptoms create a vicious cycle. The body reacts with fear. The mind interprets the fear as proof that something is wrong, and the person withdraws or avoids the situation, which only reinforces the anxiety for the next time. It's important to differentiate between normal nervousness and clinical social anxiety. Everyone feels a bit anxious when they're about to give a speech, go on a first date, or attend a big interview. This is natural. It's the body's way of sharpening focus and preparing us to perform well. Social anxiety, however, is more persistent and more disruptive. Instead of nerves fading once the situation begins, social anxiety tends to stay strong or even get worse during the interaction. It also spills over into everyday situations where most people would feel relaxed. Ordering coffee at a cafe, making small talk with a coworker, or answering a question in class. This difference matters because it shows that social anxiety is not about being weak or overly sensitive. It is a real and powerful condition that requires understanding and management. Another part of understanding social anxiety is recognizing how common it actually is. Millions of people around the world experience it in varying degrees, from mild discomfort to severe isolation. Many of the people you see every day, coworkers, classmates, even friends, may be struggling silently. Knowing this can be empowering. Social anxiety often tricks people into thinking, "I'm the only one who feels this way." But in reality, you are far from alone. By accepting that social anxiety is widespread, you can reduce some of the shame or guilt you may feel about experiencing it yourself. Understanding social anxiety also means learning how it can shape behavior. People with social anxiety often go out of their way to avoid situations where they might feel exposed. They might skip parties, avoid eye contact, decline opportunities, or remain silent even when they have something valuable to contribute. At first, these avoidance strategies seem to help because they reduce immediate discomfort. But in the long term, they actually strengthen the anxiety, teaching the brain that escape is the only safe option. Over time, this can limit personal growth, damage relationships, and create a cycle of missed chances. Recognizing this pattern is vital, because it highlights why confronting and managing social anxiety is so important. On a deeper level, social anxiety is often connected to identity and self-worth. People who struggle with it tend to carry a heightened sense of self-consciousness. They imagine that others are watching them closely, waiting to criticize or notice every mistake. But in reality, most people are too absorbed in their own lives to scrutinize us as much as we think. This distorted perception, the belief that the spotlight is always on us, is called the spotlight effect. Understanding this cognitive bias can be liberating. When you realize that others are not paying nearly as much attention as you fear, it becomes easier to breathe, relax, and engage more naturally. Another crucial piece of understanding social anxiety is acknowledging the role of past experiences. For some, it may stem from moments of humiliation in childhood, bullying, or repeated criticism that created a belief of not being good enough. For others, it may develop without any obvious cause, influenced by temperament, upbringing, or even genetics. Whatever the origin, recognizing that social anxiety has roots helps you see it not as a personal flaw, but as a learned pattern that can be unlearned. You didn't choose to feel this way, but you can choose to work on changing it. Self-awareness is key in this stage. By paying attention to your own thoughts, feelings, and bodily reactions, you can start to map out how social anxiety shows up in your life. Maybe you notice your chest tightening before you speak in a meeting. Maybe your inner critic gets loud before a social event. Maybe you constantly replay conversations in your head, analyzing every word you said. These patterns are clues, and noticing them without judgment is the first step to interrupting them. Understanding social anxiety is not about labeling yourself as broken, it's about bringing clarity to something that has been clouded by fear. When you understand how social anxiety works, you take away some of its mystery and power. It becomes less of a monster in the dark and more of a challenge you can prepare for step by step. You see that the anxiety is not you. It's a response that your brain has learned to give, and if it was learned, it can be unlearned. This stage, understanding, is the foundation upon which everything else rests. Without it, it's easy to feel lost, frustrated, or even hopeless. But with it, you begin to see a path forward. You realize that you're not defined by your anxiety and that with effort, patience, and the right tools, you can overcome it. Knowledge becomes your first weapon against fear. It gives you perspective, reassurance, and the courage to take the next steps. In the journey to conquer social anxiety, clarity is empowerment. And once you fully understand what you're up against, you'll be ready to move toward identifying where it comes from and how to dismantle it piece by piece. Once you have a clear understanding of what social anxiety is and how it manifests, the next critical step is to identify its root causes. Social anxiety does not appear out of nowhere. It is shaped by a combination of internal beliefs, external influences, and past experiences. By recognizing what fuels your anxiety, you can begin to address it at the source rather than just battling its symptoms. This process requires honesty, self-reflection, and patience, but it is an empowering step toward reclaiming control over your life. One of the most common root causes of social anxiety is negative self-talk. This is the inner voice that constantly criticizes, doubts, and belittles you. Instead of encouraging you, it says things like, "You're not good enough," "Everyone will think you're awkward," or "You always mess up." Over time, this constant stream of negativity shapes how you see yourself in the world. If your inner dialogue is dominated by fear and self-criticism, every social interaction becomes a potential threat. Identifying these patterns of thought is crucial. You may not be able to silence them overnight, but simply recognizing that these thoughts exist and that they are not objective truths gives you the power to challenge them. Another powerful driver of social anxiety is the fear of rejection. As human beings, we are wired to seek connection and belonging. Rejection threatens this basic need, and for someone with social anxiety, the mere possibility of rejection can feel catastrophic. This fear can come from past experiences. Maybe you were excluded from a group, laughed at when you spoke up, or judged harshly by someone you trusted. These moments leave emotional scars that shape how you anticipate future interactions. Instead of seeing social situations as opportunities to connect, your brain begins to view them as minefields where rejection is waiting to happen. By identifying this fear and tracing it back to where it began, you can start to separate the past from the present. The rejection you experienced before does not guarantee that it will happen again. Social pressure is another contributing factor. Society often places unrealistic expectations on how we should look, speak, and behave. From an early age, many people are taught to avoid mistakes, to strive for perfection, and to maintain a certain image. In a world where social media amplifies every flaw and comparison, these pressures only grow stronger. For someone already prone to self-doubt, this pressure can feel suffocating. You might avoid speaking up because you fear saying something wrong, or you may hesitate to join a conversation because you don't think you measure up. Recognizing how much of your anxiety stems from external expectations can help you begin to separate your authentic self from the unrealistic standards you've been trying to live up to. Past experiences play a significant role as well. For many people, social anxiety is rooted in moments of embarrassment, bullying, or criticism during formative years. A single incident, like being laughed at in class, stumbling through a presentation, or being told you weren't good enough, can echo for years, shaping how you approach social situations as an adult. Some people even develop social anxiety after repeated small experiences that collectively erode confidence. The brain learns to associate social exposure with pain, and over time, avoidance becomes the default response. Understanding these origins does not mean dwelling on the past or blaming others. Instead, it means acknowledging where the fear started, so you can reframe those memories and prevent them from controlling your present. Another root cause to examine is temperament and personality. Some people are naturally more sensitive, introverted, or cautious. These traits are not flaws. They can be incredible strengths, but they can also make social interactions feel more intense. If you are naturally observant and reflective, you may be more likely to notice subtle cues and overanalyze them. If you are highly empathetic, you may worry excessively about how others perceive you. Recognizing your temperament helps you understand that social anxiety is not about being weak. It is about having certain traits that, under specific conditions, create challenges. Once you see this, you can begin to use those same traits as assets rather than liabilities. Triggers are another essential piece of the puzzle. Triggers are specific situations, people, or environments that heighten your anxiety. For example, you may feel relatively comfortable talking to one friend, but panic when speaking in front of a group. You might be fine in casual conversations, but freeze in professional settings. Identifying your triggers helps you prepare for them rather than being blindsided. Keep a journal of situations that cause you to feel anxious, and note the thoughts and feelings that come up. Over time, patterns will emerge. Maybe your anxiety spikes when authority figures are present, or when you are in unfamiliar places, or when you feel unprepared. These insights allow you to tailor your strategies for overcoming anxiety. It's also important to recognize that biology and genetics can play a role. Research shows that social anxiety can run in families, suggesting a genetic component. Brain chemistry also contributes. An overactive amygdala, the part of the brain responsible for fear responses, can make someone more prone to anxiety. While you cannot change your genetics, knowing that biology is part of the equation helps you understand that social anxiety is not just in your head or a matter of willpower. It is a complex interplay of mind and body, and acknowledging this can reduce feelings of guilt or inadequacy. Another often overlooked cause of social anxiety is perfectionism. Perfectionists hold themselves to impossibly high standards and fear any mistake will make them look foolish. In social contexts, this might mean obsessing over saying the right thing, appearing perfectly confident, or never showing vulnerability. Because perfection is unattainable, the result is constant stress and self-criticism. Recognizing perfectionistic tendencies allows you to replace them with healthier expectations, such as aiming for connection rather than flawless performance. Ultimately, identifying the root causes of social anxiety is about building self-awareness. It's about stepping back and asking, where does this fear come from? What is feeding it? What stories am I telling myself that may not be true? The answers will look different for everyone, but the process is universally valuable. Once you understand the sources of your anxiety, whether they are rooted in thoughts, fears, past experiences, or external pressures, you can begin to dismantle them one by one. This stage may feel uncomfortable because it involves confronting painful memories or admitting truths you've tried to ignore. But discomfort is part of growth. By shining a light on the origins of your anxiety, you strip it of some of its hidden power. Instead of being a vague, overwhelming force, it becomes something you can map, analyze, and eventually transform. Identifying root causes is not about blaming yourself or others. It's about clarity. And with clarity comes direction. When you know why your anxiety exists, you can begin to choose how you respond to it. This awareness becomes the bridge between understanding your anxiety and building the mindset that will help you rise above it. After you have understood what social anxiety is and identified the root causes behind it, the next stage is to build a positive and confident mindset. This step is not about pretending that fear doesn't exist or forcing yourself to be someone you're not. Instead, it is about reshaping the way you think, strengthening your belief in yourself, and creating an inner foundation that allows you to face challenges with courage. Social anxiety feeds on negative beliefs, distorted self-perceptions, and imagined worst-case scenarios. By transforming your mindset, you weaken the fuel that keeps anxiety alive. A confident mindset begins with awareness of your inner dialogue. For most people with social anxiety, this dialogue is relentlessly negative. Before a social interaction, you might hear thoughts like, "They won't like me," "I'll embarrass myself," or "I'm too awkward to fit in." These thoughts may feel automatic and convincing, but they are not facts. They are stories your mind is telling based on fear. One powerful shift is to start questioning these thoughts. Ask yourself, is this thought 100% true? What evidence do I have for it? Have I ever handled a situation like this successfully before? By challenging the accuracy of your inner critic, you begin to loosen its grip. Over time, this practice turns into a habit of replacing destructive self-talk with realistic and supportive thoughts. Another crucial mindset shift is learning to see mistakes and imperfections as part of growth rather than as proof of failure. People with social anxiety often fear that one wrong word, one awkward pause, or one nervous smile will ruin their entire image. But the truth is, everyone makes small mistakes and most people barely notice them. In fact, imperfections often make us more relatable and human. When you allow yourself to be imperfect, you take pressure off yourself and free up mental energy to focus on genuine connection. A confident mindset is not about being flawless. It is about being authentic. Self-compassion is also central to building confidence. Many people with social anxiety are incredibly hard on themselves. They replay conversations over and over, punishing themselves for what they think they did wrong. They compare themselves harshly to others, focusing only on their own shortcomings. To counter this, practice treating yourself with the same kindness you would offer a friend. If a friend told you they felt nervous or awkward, you wouldn't call them pathetic. You would encourage them. Begin speaking to yourself in the same way. It's okay to feel nervous.
I'm proud of myself for trying.
I don't need to be perfect to be valuable. This gentle inner voice nurtures confidence and resilience over time. Gratitude and focusing on strengths can also reshape your mindset. Instead of obsessing over what you lack, make it a habit to acknowledge what you already have. Write down qualities you appreciate about yourself. Perhaps you're a good listener, thoughtful, creative, or dependable. Social anxiety often tricks people into magnifying their weaknesses while ignoring their strengths. By regularly bringing attention to what you do well, you balance your perspective and remind yourself that you bring value to any interaction. Another powerful mindset tool is visualization. Athletes often use this technique to build confidence before big events, and it works just as well for social situations. Spend a few minutes each day visualizing yourself walking into a room confidently, making eye contact, smiling, and engaging in conversation. Imagine yourself handling challenges calmly and leaving the situation feeling proud. Visualization primes your brain to expect success, which makes it easier to act confidently when the real moment comes. Mindfulness is another practice that helps build a stronger mindset. Social anxiety thrives on future-focused fears. What if I embarrass myself tomorrow? And past regrets? I sounded so stupid last time. Mindfulness grounds you in the present moment. By paying attention to your breath, your body, or the details of your surroundings, you shift focus away from anxious thoughts and toward what is actually happening right now. Over time, mindfulness trains your brain to respond with calmness instead of panic. Reframing is another critical tool for mindset change. Instead of seeing social situations as tests you must pass, begin to see them as opportunities to learn and connect. For example, instead of thinking, "I have to impress everyone at this event," reframe it as, "This is a chance to practice being present and open." Instead of thinking, "If I stumble, everyone will think less of me," reframe it as, "Everyone stumbles sometimes. It just shows I'm human." This simple shift in perspective takes the pressure off and makes interactions feel less threatening. Confidence also grows through action, not just thought. A positive mindset is not about waiting until you feel fearless before engaging with the world. It's about deciding to act despite fear and then using each experience as proof that you are capable. Every time you speak up in class, start a conversation, or share an opinion, you are gathering evidence that you can handle social situations. This evidence becomes the foundation for future confidence. A critical part of building a confident mindset is breaking the habit of comparison. With social media constantly showcasing polished versions of other people's lives, it's easy to feel like you're not good enough. But comparison is a trap. You're on your own unique journey with your own strengths and challenges. Instead of measuring yourself against others, measure yourself against your own progress. Did you push yourself a little more today than yesterday? Did you face a fear, even in a small way? Celebrate these victories because they are the real markers of growth. Surrounding yourself with positivity also strengthens your mindset. The people you spend time with influence how you see yourself. If you're constantly around critical or negative people, your anxiety will worsen. Seek out friends, mentors, or communities that uplift and encourage you. Positive environments reinforce the belief that you are capable and worthy, and they make it easier to practice new behaviors without fear of judgment. Finally, remember that building a confident mindset is not a one-time fix but an ongoing practice. There will be days when anxiety feels strong, when negative thoughts resurface, or when old habits creep back in. This does not mean you've failed, it simply means you are human. The key is persistence. Every time you choose to challenge a negative thought, practice self-compassion, or take a small step forward, you are rewiring your brain for confidence. Over time, these small efforts accumulate into lasting change. In the journey of overcoming social anxiety, mindset is the bridge between understanding and action. When you build a positive, confident mindset, you give yourself the inner strength to face fears with courage, to see challenges as opportunities, and to believe in your ability to grow. Social anxiety may whisper doubts, but with the right mindset, you will always have a stronger voice inside reminding you of your worth. Once you have begun building a more positive and confident mindset, the next step in conquering social anxiety is to practice communication skills gradually and intentionally. Confidence doesn't grow from theory alone, it grows from action. Just as someone learning a new language must practice speaking rather than only studying grammar, someone overcoming social anxiety must engage in real-life interactions, starting small and building up over time. The key is to approach this process step by step, treating it as practice rather than a performance. The first step is to begin with small, low-pressure interactions. These are situations where the stakes feel minimal and where failure, if it happens, carries little consequence. For example, you might start by making eye contact with a cashier and saying, "Thank you," or offering a simple good morning to a neighbor. You could ask a store clerk where an item is located even if you already know, just for the sake of practicing. These micro-interactions may seem insignificant, but they serve as confidence-building repetitions. Each successful attempt sends a message to your brain, "I can handle this." Over time, these tiny victories stack up, creating a foundation of confidence for larger challenges. From there, you can gradually increase the difficulty of your interactions. Move from one-word greetings to short conversations, like asking a colleague how their weekend was or commenting on the weather to a stranger in line. The goal is not to impress or deliver a flawless performance, it's simply to participate. Think of each conversation as a repetition in the gym for your social muscles. The more you practice, the stronger you become. An important tool during these interactions is mindful breathing. Anxiety often manifests physically, making you feel short of breath, jittery, or tense. By focusing on slow, steady breaths, inhale deeply through your nose, exhale slowly through your mouth, you can calm your body's stress response. Practicing this before and during conversations helps you stay grounded rather than swept away by panic. Combining this with mindfulness, paying attention to the other person's words, tone, and body language also shifts focus away from your own anxious thoughts and toward genuine connection. Journaling can also be a powerful support tool. After each interaction, take a few minutes to write down what happened, how you felt, and what went well. Often people with social anxiety magnify mistakes in their mind, convincing themselves they messed everything up. Journaling provides a more balanced perspective. You may notice that even when you stumbled, the other person responded positively or didn't seem to notice. This written record becomes proof of progress and helps to break the cycle of distorted thinking. As your comfort grows, you can challenge yourself with slightly larger goals. Join a group activity where conversations happen naturally, such as a book club, fitness class, or volunteer event. These environments provide structure and shared focus, making interactions less intimidating. Instead of carrying the entire conversation, you can contribute in small, natural ways, gradually expanding your confidence. Public speaking is often one of the most intimidating situations for someone with social anxiety, but practicing in small doses can be transformative. Start by speaking up in small groups or during casual meetings. Share an idea or ask a question, even if your voice shakes. The goal is not to eliminate nervousness, but to prove to yourself that you can survive and even grow from the experience. Over time, these moments add up, and what once felt terrifying becomes manageable. Role-playing with a trusted friend or therapist can also accelerate your progress. You can practice common social scenarios, introducing yourself, making small talk, handling compliments, or expressing opinions. This creates a safe environment where you can experiment, make mistakes, and build strategies without fear of harsh judgment. By rehearsing, you train both your mind and body to respond more calmly when similar situations arise in real life. Another valuable strategy is exposure therapy in gradual steps. Create a fear ladder, listing social situations from least to most intimidating. At the bottom might be making eye contact with strangers. In the middle, starting a conversation with a coworker. Near the top, giving a speech in front of a large group. Begin at the bottom, practicing until your anxiety decreases, then move up one step at a time. This structured approach allows you to face fears without becoming overwhelmed, while steadily expanding your comfort zone. It's also important to shift the focus of communication from yourself to the other person. Social anxiety often makes us hyper-aware of our own behavior. Am I talking too fast? Do I look nervous? Did I say something stupid? But in reality, meaningful communication is about connection. Instead of analyzing yourself, pay attention to the other person's words, body language, and emotions. Ask questions, show curiosity, and listen actively. This shift not only reduces self-consciousness but also makes you a more engaging conversational partner. Practicing communication also involves embracing silence and pauses. Many people with social anxiety panic when conversations stall, fearing awkwardness. But silence is a natural part of dialogue. Learning to tolerate brief pauses without rushing to fill them demonstrates confidence and helps you stay calm. If a pause occurs, you can smile, take a breath, or ask a gentle follow-up question. Over time, you'll see that pauses don't spell disaster. They're simply space for thought. In addition, celebrating small wins is essential. Each time you practice a skill, no matter how minor, acknowledge it as progress. Did you maintain eye contact a few seconds longer? Did you introduce yourself without overthinking? Did you share a story, even if your voice trembled? These are victories worth recognizing. Progress is not measured by perfection, but by consistent effort. Of course, setbacks will happen. You may freeze during a conversation, stumble over words, or feel overwhelmed in a group. Instead of interpreting these moments as failures, treat them as practice. Every stumble is data. It shows you what triggers you and gives you a chance to prepare differently next time. A growth-oriented approach ensures that no effort is wasted. Ultimately, practicing communication is about desensitizing yourself to fear and building confidence through action. The more you engage, the more you prove to yourself that anxiety doesn't control you. Each step forward makes the next one easier, until social interactions become less of a threat and more of an opportunity. This stage is where theory transforms into real-world change. By practicing intentionally and consistently, you turn your positive mindset into practical confidence. Step by step, conversation by conversation, you replace fear with familiarity until the situations that once paralyzed you become part of everyday life. Conquering social anxiety is not a one-time breakthrough. It is an ongoing process that requires persistence, practice, and commitment. Many people begin to make progress but struggle with maintaining it because they expect instant results or become discouraged when anxiety resurfaces. The truth is, social anxiety is something that may ebb and flow throughout your life. What matters most is developing habits, support systems, and perspectives that allow you to continue moving forward even when challenges arise. This stage, maintenance and long-term growth, is about turning the skills you've learned into a way of life. The first principle of maintenance is consistency. Confidence grows the same way physical strength does, through repeated practice. Just as a single workout won't make you fit, a single successful conversation won't eliminate social anxiety. What transforms your life is showing up day after day, practicing the skills you've built, and refusing to let setbacks define you. This might mean continuing to push yourself into social situations, even when you'd rather stay home, or reminding yourself to use breathing techniques when you feel nervous. Consistency is the bridge between short-term progress and lasting change. It's equally important to recognize that setbacks are normal. There will be days when anxiety feels overwhelming again, perhaps triggered by stress, unfamiliar environments, or unexpected challenges. In those moments, it can be tempting to believe you've undone all your progress. But setbacks are not failures, they are part of the process. Each time you recover from a difficult moment, you strengthen your resilience. Instead of asking, "Why am I anxious again?" reframe the question as, "What can I learn from this? And how can I grow stronger because of it?" This perspective turns setbacks into opportunities for growth rather than reasons for self-criticism. Building a strong support system is another vital part of long-term success. Social anxiety often thrives in isolation, but healing happens in connection. Surround yourself with people who encourage you, respect your progress, and understand your challenges. This might include close friends, supportive family members, or peers who share similar struggles. Joining a support group, whether in person or online, can also provide encouragement and accountability. Knowing that others share your experiences helps reduce feelings of shame and gives you a safe space to share victories and struggles. Professional support may also be valuable. Therapists, counselors, or coaches can provide tools, strategies, and guidance tailored to your specific needs. Cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT for instance, has been shown to be especially effective in treating social anxiety by helping people reframe negative thoughts and practice new behaviors. Seeking help is not a sign of weakness. It is a sign of strength and a commitment to growth. Sometimes, professional guidance can accelerate progress and provide breakthroughs you might not reach alone. In addition to external support, maintaining self-care is crucial. Social anxiety is closely tied to overall mental and physical well-being. When you neglect your body and mind, anxiety often intensifies. Simple habits such as getting enough sleep, eating balanced meals, exercising regularly, and managing stress through practices like meditation or yoga can significantly reduce anxiety symptoms. Think of self-care as laying the foundation for confidence. When your body feels strong and your mind feels calm, you are better equipped to handle challenges. Long-term growth also involves continuing to challenge yourself. Once you've gained confidence in small interactions, don't stop there. Set new goals that push you slightly beyond your current comfort zone. This might mean volunteering to lead a project at work, signing up for a public speaking class, or traveling to new places where you'll need to meet people. Each challenge you take on expands your boundaries, proving again and again that you are capable of more than you once believed. Growth is not about never feeling anxious. It is about choosing courage consistently, even when fear is present. Another key to maintaining progress is shifting your focus from performance to connection. Early in the journey, it's natural to focus on performing well in social situations, saying the right thing, looking confident, avoiding mistakes. But true growth comes when you shift your perspective and see social interactions not as performances, but as opportunities to connect. When you stop trying to impress and start focusing on building genuine relationships, much of the pressure disappears. Connection, not perfection, becomes your goal. Developing resilience to criticism is also part of long-term maintenance. One of the biggest fears for people with social anxiety is being judged or rejected. While it's true that you cannot control what others think, you can control how you respond. Not everyone will like you, and that's okay. Nobody is universally liked. Instead of interpreting criticism as a reflection of your worth, see it as feedback or simply as someone else's perspective. The more you practice this mindset, the less power judgment has over you. Celebrating progress along the way is essential. Too often, people with social anxiety dismiss their achievements, telling themselves, "That wasn't a big deal," or "Anyone else could do that easily." But every step forward matters. Whether you introduced yourself to someone new, contributed to a group discussion, or attended a social event despite your nerves, These are victories. Acknowledging them builds momentum and reinforces the belief that you are growing stronger. Consider keeping a confidence journal where you record moments of progress. Over time, this collection of victories becomes tangible evidence of how far you've come. Maintaining growth also requires patience. Conquering social anxiety is not a straight line. It's a journey with ups and downs, victories and struggles. There will be moments when progress feels slow, but patience ensures you don't give up. Trust that every effort, no matter how small, is moving you forward. Think of it like planting seeds. You may not see immediate results, but with time and care, growth becomes visible. Finally, turning communication into a positive habit transforms your relationship with social interactions. Instead of seeing conversations as threats, you begin to see them as opportunities to learn, to connect, to share, to grow. Over time, what once felt like a battlefield becomes a natural part of your life. You may even reach a point where you enjoy the very situations that used to terrify you. This is the true sign of long-term growth. Not just managing anxiety, but thriving in social spaces. In the end, conquering social anxiety is not about eliminating fear entirely. It's about learning to live fully, even with fear present. It's about developing tools, habits, and perspectives that allow you to step into the world with courage and authenticity. When you maintain and build on your progress over time, you transform anxiety from a barrier into a teacher, one that pushed you to grow stronger, braver, and more compassionate with yourself. And in doing so, you don't just conquer social anxiety, you reclaim the freedom to live the life you truly want. Remember this, social anxiety doesn't define you. Every small step you take toward confidence builds a stronger, freer version of yourself. So start today. Practice these tools, challenge your fears, and take back your life. If this video helped you, hit the subscribe button, share it with someone who needs it, and let's build a world where confidence wins over fear. See you in the next video.